Nice. Mighty nice. It's your boy, Christy Japan, back with another episode of Atas Across Time and Space. This is episode
Yes.
27, and I got Ace on the line. Give him an introduction this time. Thank God. All right, I'm gonna let him introduce himself over at Cross Culture. Go ahead. Tell
Yeah,
me who
you
you are.
already know who it is. It's Ace, your boy over at Cross Culture, coming and visiting TPC Japan, the People's Champ. We in it for another one. Atas number 27. Yeah, man, it's crazy. 27.
It's,
We
you know,
close to that 30.
we're getting there. We're getting there. You know, I mean, 30 is what is it? 37 is when it gets real. Like, you know, the analytics start picking you up, just like, you know what, oh, these
Mm,
guys are not stopping, you know. So 37 is that number. Up to that point, it's just like, all right, about to be born. I'm about to be born. All right. I'm putting
okay.
on muscle, putting on gristle. And the thing is, currently the gristle that we're putting on is in regards to this book called Sapiens by Noah
Sapiens.
Yuval Harari. I had his name down the other day when I was saying with a UK accent, and yeah, I haven't heard it with a UK accent recently. So unfortunately, all that's out the window. But
Oh man.
uh, yeah, we're going to get into that book after our kind of 5 minute introduction at the beginning. I'm going to give you a summary as we always do. In fact, well, that's how the new format is. Give you a little summary, you know, what this chapter was about, and then I get to ask the in-depth questions. I get to, you know, pick Ace's mind about how this book touched his soul. All right.
Touch my
And then we're
soul.
going to talk about the application for the people. All
Yeah.
right. But just as a quick recap of what we talked about last week, yeah, we got on chapter 26. And, you know, what was the reaction like? What were people saying,
Not
you
chapter
know,
26.
after?
What? Chapter 14. Episode 26.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
We've
for
been
that.
done with the book.
I'm like, man, there's so many books going in and out, back and forth. It's wild. But yeah, the discovery of ignorance, as they called it, chapter 14.
Hmm.
What was the reaction? You know, what was the aftermath? How did you feel about that conversation?
So the I guess the bulk of it was the scientific revolution and
Mm-hmm.
how people kind of got over the hump of ignorance, and
Mm-hmm.
not only how we encountered that, but to this day, what types of research is done and how that's formed and how it has to be portrayed in order to get grants and, you know, to get that notoriety, to get out, to even be able to do the research. It
Mm-hmm.
was kind of crazy. Just talking about, well, not to make it too political, but talking about funding coming down from the government, how if
Mm-hmm.
you just relate whatever you're doing to something that's going on in the world today. Now, if you say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want to test the limits of blood, of human blood. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, that's too general. We're not going to give you the funding. But if you say, I want to test the limits of human blood as it relates to the COVID-19 vaccines and virus, then we'll be like, oh,
Oh,
oh yeah, money, money,
oh,
money, money, money.
bam! Just drop that on us.
So
Who
that's
you
basically
voting
what we
for
got
next
into.
time?
Well,
Yeah.
what happened?
And then who you voting for next time? Go
Oh
ahead.
no.
I'm not getting political, but you understand that the political system is and the funding is all connected. So I mean, you choose your sides, and just remember, you know, they know which side that you chose, and the next time you go back to ask for funding, yeah, I got your number. I got your number.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, do we like how the system works? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. You know, I mean, we're the product of the system. It needs help. All right, can't make a
Mm,
whole society without the people, and all the gears involved are a necessary piece. But yeah,
true.
I mean that was a conversation last week. What we're going to get into this week is what we call the marriage of science and the empire.
You good?
Yeah, no, we're good. So what I'm about to do is put that on screen so that all of our viewers on YouTube, okay, where we broadcast live, can see that. Make sure it's nice and
Okay.
clear. Um, yeah, so it's interesting the way that we go through the chapters. Listen to the audiobook and the way that it hits you there. And I have a
Mhm.
question for Ace just regarding that. I mean, do you go audio only or do you go print? Which do you prefer? Because for me, I've done the audio, but it's like when you do
Mhm.
the audio, you don't. All right, I don't want to answer the whole thing yet, but when I do audio only, it doesn't stick. All right, it just feels like okay, it's in there somewhere. I've heard something like that before. I was into it, but if you don't stop, slow down, play that back, then it doesn't stick. When I do the digital print version or ebook version, it's like all right, I take a lot of highlights and here and there, but it takes forever to get through. So what's
Mm.
what's your what's your poison? Pick your poison.
Um, well, with this book, I am just listening to it, and
Mm.
I've done some research into my own self to find out that I'm an auditory learner primarily.
Oh. Mhm.
So when I listen to things, I can listen to the audiobook. Like I was listening to the audiobook earlier and I was doing some other things. I actually listened to it late this week because this week has
Mhm.
been crazy. So I was listening to it today
Okay.
and I can remember nuanced things just because
Mhm.
I've had to flex that muscle being in choir. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're not able to go to a rehearsal. Well, you still got to know the songs. So things like that,
Mhm.
I've had to flex those muscles,
Well, I
but
mean, I
I
find
would
you that type of person.
prefer. What's up?
Mhm. I find you to be that type of person. I just listen so carefully to the auditory. Like you can pick up on
Hmm.
anything. Like "Ah," I was like, ah, I said that. I didn't realize I said that. You know, I did say that.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, blessing and a curse. No, it's good to have that. That back and forth, that type of person on deck, especially that's where it comes from. Oh, okay, okay, that's me. I was looking. I saw. Uh, we have a viewer. It's myself.
Okay. Nice, nice.
um, so I mean, this chapter is it's a lot of history. You know, um,
Hmm.
talking about how the various explorers and huge names in Western history made their contribution, and how basically the establishment, the kind of I don't not God free, but governments, kind of
Okay.
began to take control of and take um, center stage around the world
Hmm.
through different people throughout history. So I mean, we saw some Christopher Columbus. We saw um, how the British Empire built its railroads and how different people, for example, like the Chinese, were a part of that.
Hmm.
How Persians were part of that kind of movement, and you know what it reminded me of, and it's not
What?
really like I'm not going to go into my personal section here, but
Age of
Age of Empires.
Empires.
Age of Empires. Yeah, say it at the same time, right? Of course, listen, he knows. He knows. Um, I was really thinking about that as I went through the chapter. Like, this is how empires are formed, and I can feel the foreshadowing, or maybe I listened ahead a couple chapters because you can see how society or the system, started to take center stage,
Mm,
and how families began to be of less importance. All right, we're going to see that motion throughout the book. We can see like
mm,
why societies, why people began to put their trust in these kind of governments to improve their lives. So that's why we call it the marriage of science and empire. That's what I feel like they're
mhm,
saying right there. Not everything is not everything is great. Not everything's perfect in a marriage. But when you have different governments and they the nations that they represent, they kind of, the values of those people kind of go along with their empires wherever they go. So you
Hmm.
see Roman Empire values in Western culture. You see British Empire values in American culture.
Yeah.
You see those same values, like for example, in Hong Kong, and how that
Hmm.
doesn't really, how their Chinese roots and their British kind of indoctrination, or what's the right word for it? Yeah,
Colonization.
colonialization. What?
Colonization. I mean, no,
Colonization.
but they never
Colonialization.
they
Yeah,
never took up
colonization.
residence in there. British
Yeah,
never
well,
took residence in China.
not in China, but Hong Kong.
Mm, okay.
Like it's clearly, it still has that British feel to it. And the people there see themselves as Hong Kongers. And before I feel that some of that in the way that Africa is kind of divided in these different
Hmm.
cultures, and or not cultures, but different lines that were kind of arbitrarily drawn across the continent based on which empire got a piece. I did the
Hmm.
same thing in Egypt. But how did this chapter hit you? I want to let you get in there and talk about the personal first.
So, what what really stuck out to me in this chapter was the thought of not just influence, but
Mm,
how beliefs shaped the influence. And it's
mm,
hard to break down, but one of the one of the things that really stuck out to me was the whole thing about scurvy. And it's like, whoa,
mm,
these people are, dying from this disease and nobody knows what's happening with it. And
mm,
then the British scientist was like, okay, well, I'm gonna put these guys in this room and these guys in this room and this guy's in this room, and I'm gonna
mhm,
give them different treatments and see what works. And it was not modern medicine,
mm,
but tribal medicine. Was like, oh, well, we whenever we see this happening, we just give them citrus fruits. And
mhm.
nobody knew that it was vitamin C that was being lacked, but
Yeah.
the citrus fruits cured it. And it goes along with the whole conquering idea. Is what comes up in this chapter is why China and India
Mhm,
and like-minded empires, or well, like-minded countries didn't seek to pursue becoming an empire. And the reason behind that is because when it comes down to the British and the Romans, it was more so, well, we need to go and show that we're the best. We're going to go out there, we're going to conquer, we're going to expand our borders, little by little.
mhm,
But with the Chinese and the Japanese and, the Indian cultures, over in Southeast Asia, it's more so, okay, we need to look inward to
mhm,
ourselves to see how we can be a part of the whole.
mhm,
So it's
mhm,
not like, okay, I'm going to do it because I want to be great and I'm going to lead this military power. It's more so like, okay, well, how can we fortify our borders? How can we, make sure that we're looking out for each other? And as far as the railroad that comes up in there too,
mhm.
and I was thinking that in the early days in Japan, especially, it was like you sat on one side of the car if you wanted to see the ocean or the water, and the other side of
Yeah.
the car if you wanted to see the mountains, because all of these tracks were built along the water. And then I
Mhm,
started
mhm.
thinking about Demon Slayer and how
Whoa, whoa.
this
Focus
guy
on that. Yeah.
Inosuke,
Mhm,
he sees the train for the first time. And this goes
mhm.
back to, that like belief system, like-minded belief system. And he says, whoa, this is a monster. This must be the god of the earth. And it's
Yeah.
like some people, would see these things and be like, oh, this is unnatural. This has to be of a higher power, or this has to be, otherworldly.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are just like the things that I picked up, during the chapter. I was like, oh, okay, all right, this makes sense. This makes sense. And it was
Right.
flowing like real nice.
Right. It's definitely a good chapter to see how, the effect of both the science and the empire. I mean,
Hmm.
like Harari, like he really sees them as two sides of the same coin, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and these scientific endeavors, they actually, they usually serve the goal of the empire itself,
Mm.
right? We can see that in not just ancient, not ancient Western, but throughout the 1500s, 1600s. You see that now. You know, atom bomb, like it
Oh
serves
man.
the. I know it just go straight there, but you know,
Yeah.
like it served the purpose of this American empire, Western empire. Like we're not gonna drag this thing out. Like this is
Hmm.
what our clients can do. You either get on board or that's it. And
But even that was
mm,
unifying so many different minds and cultures
mm,
under that one bracket. And
mm,
even when these people sent conquerors out, they also sent geologists, they also sent herbologists, to
mm.
categorize and look at these new findings in the world, even though they're mainly going there to, you know, smack people down.
Yeah, I mean, they just send out the herbologists. They sent out, their missionaries or whatever too. And it's
Hmm.
just like, all right, one way by hook or by crook, you're gonna get down. Um, and that's a really interesting part of the kind of colonial message, I'd say. And we see it throughout Western history for sure. Like no matter where we went,
Mm.
okay, you kind of convert the people or kill the people. That
Yeah,
this is
that's the thing.
ages. This is Age of Empires. All right. For
Oh
those of you
man,
who haven't played the game Age of Empires, I still have a banner up about that because yeah, that was our thing. Ages. Where is it? Yeah. All
Ages of
right.
Empire. Yeah.
That's it's a game. All right. Age of Empires is a game that came out in 1998,
8.
nine.
I
Yeah,
think it's
way
8.
back. All right. It was on my Windows 98 computer. And
Hmm.
the thing about ages is basically you have a civilization. You start off the first ages. You start off in the Stone Age, move through the Tool Age, and Bronze Age, Iron Age, and so on. Right.
Hmm.
And you have villagers. They're collecting resources, and then you have a town center that creates more villagers. Then you also have a temple. And in the beginning, you don't really see why you need to build a temple, right? What can the priest do in the first stage? They can heal. Okay, they can heal your own villagers. Can they convert? I think could they even convert in the first round?
You had to research it. I think
Yeah,
you had to
yeah,
research conversion, and then some cultures can convert buildings and
hmm,
inanimate objects type things. Like what the heck? But
exactly.
yeah.
So I mean, the point of Age of Empires, and they never really tell you like, all right, this is exactly what you have to do. This is why we're playing the game. To wipe out. Well, unless you're playing a campaign, it's like okay, you specifically need to wipe out somebody else. But
Hmm.
other than that, you're just having a match. You could just collecting resources, but then you see another tribe of people. They look kind of like you. The only difference is that we're in different colors. All right,
Yeah.
and they start trying to chop down your trees or start shooting the deer in your area, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's enough to just you have beef. You know, they come with their military. They come with their priests, and now once you reach like the tool age, now your priest can convert. All right, so if they try to
Mm.
come to your area, you convert. All right, don't come to our space. And then if you have enough priests, you go to their area and start converting their thing.
Start converting. Oh man.
You know, it's a great satire on what was happening through the 15, 16, 1700s. You're picking up um, different technologies. Okay,
Hmm.
some of those technologies you really don't know what they do. Okay, this one's going to help me do irrigation better. This one's going to help me chop down wood better. Okay, lumber yard, great. All right. What were your experiences with Asian empires? Now that I say that.
Oh man, like I was so bad at the game. Like no lie, I was when you had your computer and you would have like your
Mm,
LAN parties and everything like that. I would even go with some of our little cousins, and
mm,
they're just like, oh, you're so bad. Like, why aren't you doing this and this and that? Like,
Mm.
research this. And I'm just like,
Right.
I play the game like twice a month.
Why weren't you researching the different technologies that you would need to get ahead? Like, what was going
Hmm.
on in your mind? Because for me, I was just like, all right, just research everything.
Mm.
Go. And there's actually a proper order as to what needs to be researched first
And
in
when,
order to be
yeah.
successful in the game.
I didn't start playing really until college.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and that's when the Age of Empires 2 Ages of King Definitive Edition came out.
yeah.
And mom bought it and she was like, "Oh, I want to play it. So
Oh,
it's not
wait, hold
yours.
on.
I'm playing it," type thing. And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Wait,
But
Hold on. Mary was playing Age
she
of
said
Empires.
she wanted to. She never actually
Oh,
booted it up. I
okay.
think it was like that type of thing. Like, it's mine, not yours.
Okay,
So
so
don't
you
get
could
comfortable with it.
so you could see that as that wasn't a present for you. You could have a separate present, right?
Basically, it was a random time. It wasn't like Christmas or anything. But
Okay. Okay.
especially in Age of Kings, that's where you really get into the different civilizations, and they
Mm,
branch off more than the original. So
mm, mm,
you talking about specialized troops, like
mhm,
every single country had their own specialized troop, which was
mm.
good at one thing, bad at another.
Right.
um there was certain technologies that could be researched by only certain um countries. So like I remember always the Chinese
Civilization.
could research gunpowder, and early at that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so it's like, man, their firepower and everything just on point. But
Hmm.
usually I think they use more resources per person or something like that. Like, there was always advantages and disadvantages.
Hmm.
But it really does get you to wrap your mind around, prioritizing what goes first, and,
Hmm.
okay, what can I sacrifice to get ahead? And,
Hmm.
how do I want to lay out my strategy depending on the benefits of my race, and, where my race is going to shortfall,
Hmm.
race in the game. I'm not,
Right.
just
No, no,
throw
no,
that out
no.
there.
And the thing is, like, I felt like when I stepped in Age of Empires, I felt like I don't want to pick one of the Western civilizations, although I know that it's probably set up in such a way that they're extremely successful. Like the British
Mm,
with their longbowmen, they can shoot over your walls. They can
mm,
convert just about anything. Like, but I didn't just want to be that, you know, just to feel
mm.
like, wow, it's great to be a Westerner,
I am
or it's
a
great to be,
real American.
I'm a real American. Right? I didn't want that. I didn't want that. So I made a point to pick like the Japanese. All right,
You
and that
always
was
pick Japanese. Yep,
I always pick the
always.
Japanese. You know, yes, they could convert things, but like I think the strength of the Japanese were in their samurai.
Hmm.
Like
Specialized troop.
close combat. They had some cannoneers later on, but their gunpowder technology wasn't that great. Right. They also had great long bowmen, or not long bowmen, just bowmen.
Hmm.
They had good bowmen in the first Age of Empires, and then also in Kings. But I learned actually through another YouTuber called Spirit of the Law, as a matter of fact.
Spirit of the law. Okay.
That's his name, Spirit of the Law. And I learned through Spirit of the Law the best way to progress through the game, like quickly. For example, once you get to like 10 villagers, or 10 vills, I don't even say villagers. You get to 10 vills, go to the next age. As you're on the way to the next age, build, your military spot and, 5 military officers. All right.
Hmm.
Once you reach that second age, now you're going to build a stable. All right. And the stable is going to have maybe like five scouts. You're going to use those scouts to find your relics. So by the time you get to the third age, now you have your temple and you're ready to send out your priests to go get the relics. If you get the relics
Hmm.
early, all right. And what relics do is they provide gold and for your civilization. You don't have to go in search of gold. Like gold just appears in your coffers.
Mm.
So yeah, if you have a strong supply of gold, you know where the enemy is. You have scouts that are out there moving very quickly, and by the time you reach the final age, you're good to go. And you want to go
Hmm.
build a military camp right on top of the enemy. Build an enemy camp, build some houses right around them too. All right, and this is the I guess that's not cynical, but this is how you become successful through history. All right,
Hmm.
you get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
focus on your military after your economy is in a decent enough shape. You know, lock off your people, make sure they don't just get attacked. You can build houses; it doesn't matter. Build houses as a wall to stop them from coming in, and then you
Hmm.
send your stuff though, and get your technology up.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely. Always
yeah,
research technology.
yeah. It's it's a really interesting game to have gotten into early in life, and now the I mean we've moved out of the age of kind of just military might, I'd say,
Hmm.
but I mean you'll see that the way that we use technology, the former empires still use technology as their way to stay ahead. All right. It could be military technology, it could be your 5G technology or 6G technology. The
Oh yeah,
reason
it's
that
probably coming.
oh no, it's already there. It's already there. It's like
6G?
6G is already out. Yeah. I mean, it's not out,
Get
it's not being
up.
released, but it's definitely in not
Oh, in
being.
development? Oh yeah.
It exists. It
Oh
exists. They're
no.
testing the limits of it. China's developing their version of it. The U.S. doesn't want to play with Huawei. You know, Huawei actually.
Hmm.
I was wrong.
Huawei. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it's because there are, you have empires underneath the guise of this scientific thing,
Hmm.
um, and they don't trust each other. Japan, just speaking from the Japanese perspective, they have so much of Apple's technology, it's insane. For consumers, right? And it's because look, if we're going to trust, it's either you're going to trust China with their Huawei and all their version of things,
Oh
and
gosh.
they're in your backyard, or you're going to trust the U.S. and their version of things. And are the Japanese okay with Apple having access? Yeah,
Hmm.
they're okay. All right, Apple's about security. They have this image of security, so we're willing to give our dollars and or give our yen, and that's fine. It is what it is. Are Americans
Hmm.
okay with Apple being on top of their, like security for, consumer goods? By and large, more so than
Yeah.
Facebook.
And I must say that it's more so a personal choice, you
Mm.
know, because I don't really trust Apple. There's been a lot of break-ins in the past where like everybody's photos have gotten out type thing. And they're just
From
now
Apple?
saying like, oh yeah, from Apple multiple
Mm.
times. And
Really?
that's serious because Apple is a hard system to break into. But
It
once
sure is.
you get into the system, it
Mm.
becomes debilitating because you must have put together some type of package,
Yeah.
some to drop some type of payload. I mean,
Mm.
Google's not impenetrable and there's like
Mm.
small leaks all the time, so they're constantly rebuilding walls and but for Apple, it seems like it's more so like, okay, we got this wall, it's steady, it's staying up. All right, we're going to move over here to look at this other thing and then it's like that
Mm.
one thing that gets through,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, man. And there's so many people that trust in Apple though.
Oh
Especially in
yeah.
Japan. I don't know about. I know in the States like it's more evenly distributed. The use of different smartphone companies or
Mhm.
electronics companies is distributed well, but in Japan it's like it's 60-70% Apple.
60-70%.
So when you go to the kaisatsu in a station and you wave your little Suica card, I
Mm.
mean a normal person gonna wave the Suica card, beep. But if you got an Apple product, you waving your i watch or something.
Yeah. I'm
Apple Watch.
upset about that because I wish I could have had that on my device when I went to Japan. So you're not fumbling with cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
They don't
yeah.
fumble with nothing. Like they got their phone to do it, they got their Apple Watch to do it. And they feel the security in everyone using the same thing. For some
Mm.
reason, like the US, we can't get on that page. It's a real interesting place to be. That American, science, that American empire, American consumerism is
Mm,
accepted. All right, this is Americanism, and yeah, by and large, they're okay with it. They're trusting of that. So I'm going to trust you to do the right thing in terms of this technology. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Get your bell notifications.
oh yeah.
Find us on Spotify. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Find us on TikTok. Okay, all the links are going to link back to this place. It's your boy TPC Japan telling you go ahead and get yourself a pen, a pad, write it down, because that's what it is. Go ahead,
All right.
Ace.
Until next time, we're gonna say stay prayed up and be blessed.
Peace.